Thanks for sticking with us for this final segment of Broncos Beat. Well, you had the break to think about who the Broncos X Factor will be for the 2020 season, but I have a feeling you didn't need all 3 minutes to figure it out. Like PFF pointed out, the Broncos will go as far as Drew Lock takes them this year. Some of us here have greater expectations than others. James Palmer. But like George mentioned last segment, this team needs to get off to a hot start. Given the momentum from last season, do you guys think Drew Lock can get this team off to a fast start, or did this virtual offseason kind of kill some of that momentum?
Well, look, the momentum was created by everyone else besides Drew Lock this offseason. I have not seen a hype train get rolling, and I don't know who started it. I might give Ryan and Ben a little credit for that. I think they may have been behind it, but it has been just continuously mounting from where he was taken in that ESPN redraft. A couple of other people had him like inside the top 12, 13 quarterbacks. Drew Lock has a lot of the physical tools, and we talked about it coming out of or into the draft. But where he did not play well in college is where he's going to have to play well in order to get this team off to a quick start, and that's intermediate and short distance accuracy. If he can do that, and that's a big if, he's going to have playmakers now. Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler, I've said this a bunch, might not be two players better at getting open in this entire draft. So when you have receivers that are open, it's all on the quarterback. It's can you put the ball in a catchable position? And if Drew Lock can do that, they can go far. What I would say is we've seen 5 games. So relax a little bit, right? I mean, Baker Mayfield in his rookie season had like 2 seasons that were this long, right? And it went up, it went down, went up, and went down. Give the guy a little bit of time is what I would say.
Yes. George, my man, thank you. I'm ripped apart on here all the time by being realistic. And I'm sorry, I don't understand what's wrong with being realistic. I know I've said it here many times. I'm a big fan of Drew Lock 2021. I'm a big fan of the Broncos 2021. I think you're going to have some ups and downs in his first year as a starter. Why would there not be? It was an interesting conversation with Philip Lindsay recently. I did a great feature for NFL Network. You all should watch it. Shameless plug. But Phil was telling me after the feature, he's like, one of the things that's great about Drew is he gets in this kind of zone, right? And he's such a big basketball guy, right? It's kind of like being in the zone in basketball. He's like, we got to find ways to get Drew into that. Sometimes he doesn't get into it. We got to find ways to get him into that every game on Sundays. He's like, because he's a different player when he's like that. And he's kind of streaky in that sense, right? And he feels something and he starts rolling with it. They need to find a way to get him into that groove in the eyes of some of his teammates. And then maybe you're going to see maybe some of this hype that everybody's doing, he's going to live up to it. I think he's talented. I just think there's going to be some bumps in the road, and everybody needs to be realistic with their expectations with a young, talented kid that has played 5 games.
Well, everyone needs to catch up with the hype train that Alexis started. She began this, and everyone else is following her lead on this. Now, let's talk about the reality of the situation, and George highlights it. Of course, James, you highlighted as well. It's that short and intermediate game. How do you get a guy kind of jump-started, if you will, right? I'm a car guy. Like, okay, how do you jump-start him? Short passes, intermediate passes, easier throws. Now, pass placement, not accuracy. A lot of people have misconception about it's accuracy. No, it's pass placement. Do you throw a catchable pass? Do you put it in the spot where your receiver can do the most with it? And then look at KJ Hamler. KJ Hamler's drops aren't a function of him not being able to catch. His drops are a function of him having a really small catch radius. So you got to be on the money. You got to be pinpoint with those type of throws to that guy in particular. He's special after the catch. He's special before the catch and getting that separation. But because he's such a small target, you can't have something that's just a little bit errant that maybe a larger receiver could go get. So Drew Lock definitely needs to be better, and that comes down to footwork. Footwork isn't just a mechanical thing. And I feel like every time I've talked to Drew, it's always about his feet. And even talking to his dad about, what's he doing to work on his footwork this offseason. He's continuing to do that because footwork is about timing with your receivers. It's not just a mechanical thing. It does have mechanical effects, but it's about timing with those receivers, short, intermediate. That's where he's got to become king. And, of course, still own the long game.
I didn't know that Colin Cowherd was such a viewer of Broncos Beat. He got all this from Alexis, apparently.
Yeah, he got it from multiple places, one of which was his reminder to generate clicks, I believe.
Yeah.
I think that was one of them. I love Cowherd. I mean, but here's one thing that you mentioned, Cecil, which I think is really interesting. Talk about the timing. On first reads last year, so we chart when a quarterback throws to the place that he's looking to when he hits the top of his drop. 28% of his throws were uncatchable. League average is like 22.
Yep.
That is something that I'm very interested to see. New offensive coordinator, didn't theoretically have time to work out with guys this offseason. How do you make that improve? Because first reads are 66, 70% of your throws. You got to hit those. You got to be accurate. And if those receivers are open and those passes are not accurate, that's going to be a huge problem. So that's one big question mark for me. I'm also curious from a Broncos team building standpoint, why is there not a veteran, an Andy Dalton backup quarterback here? Because this is a talented team. They have a top 15 roster. And with a above average quarterback play, you can make some moves.